To Battleground Canada now, the by-election races, and let's focus again back in on Toronto Centre, where there are three candidates hoping to carry the Liberal standard in the seat that Bob Rae used to hold. One of those nominees is, or chasing the nomination, is Diana Burke, joining us from our studios in the heart of Toronto Centre. And Dan, it's good to see you. You're the only candidate, if I understand this, who actually lives in Toronto Centre. Todd Ross has a lot of connections to Toronto Centre, done a lot of work, and we know Christopher Freeland has been in New York for the last little while. Those are the three candidates. Is that a big issue as you talk to the 1,000 or so, 1,200 or so Liberals are going to elect the next candidate? Who lives where?
Yeah, I've spoke to, a couple hundred of our members in the riding so far, and they certainly are concerned about the fact that, and they're pleased that I live in the riding, because that means I understand the communities and the people in the riding, and I can relate to the issues. And we're a pretty big riding and very diverse. So you have to really live there to understand. And I've also lived in different parts of the riding, which really helps also.
Oh, and I didn't know that. Well, that's, yeah, exactly. I mean, and we should remind our viewers, this is a riding, Toronto Centre. Everybody knows it's downtown Toronto, but it's got some of the richest parts of that city, Rosedale, and some of the poorest, St. Jamestown, Lawrencetown, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it's a model for Canada with this diversity.
How do you, for the general election, for the by-election, should you be running in it, you're going to have to speak to all of those voters. Right. But for this particular race, it's just this subset of Liberals who are members of the Riding Association. Is it a slightly different message for them than you would take to, I assume it is, that you would then take to a broader by-election?
I think the message is the same. Our membership really represents the riding. They go from the top of the riding to the bottom. They represent Moore Park, Rosedale, right down to Regent Park. So I think I need to concentrate on representing all of Toronto Centre.
Let me ask you about one of the other issues that's cropped up in a sort of murky way in this particular race, and that is the issue of, does the leader, the federal leader, Justin Trudeau, have his thumb, if you will, on the scale of one contestant or the other? And the suggestion's been that he was actually trying to get Christopher Freeland into the race. Do you have any thoughts about that? Are you experiencing any sort of favoritism, if I can call it that, from head office in Ottawa?
I don't think so. Justin is really, one of his big top three things is to have open nominations across all of Canada. And I think I'm supporting Justin in ensuring that we have a fair and open nomination. There are people that are working with Christian. I'm sure, it's a very close group of people that work on campaigns. There might have been some people there, but, I think it's fair and open, and I don't see that as an issue at all.
Your professional background, retired from the Royal Bank, but if people who have talked to me about you said, don't describe her as a banker, though. She's been a tech pioneer. I think your last position there was a Chief Technology Officer or something along those lines at the bank?
Yeah, I was in charge of the bank's global technology and security and privacy. So
So you're a bit of a geek then?
Well, you could call me that, but I started in the bank at the age of 16 when I moved from Jamaica to Canada 40 years ago. I started in the branch network and worked my way up. I was one of the few women that joined the tech department back 35 years ago and got into the tech field. So I understand the nuts and bolts of banking also.
Let me ask you about the party generally, and this is sort of, I'm not pinning you down to speak for the party, but if you win and you become the MP for Toronto Centre, you're the third party, and that's okay. It's not, the Liberals have had a bit of a rough decade. Do you see the Liberal Party about to make a turnaround, and is Justin Trudeau the guy that's really the Messiah leading Liberals back to the promised land?
Well, I support Justin Trudeau and the Liberals' mantra right now. It's all about jobs, especially in Toronto Centre, jobs for our young people. Jobs for, I certainly do a lot of work about jobs for people with disabilities. And we're worried about the economy and the transparency in Ottawa. That's, a lot of the riding members are saying, we need somebody in Ottawa that has your kind of experience, your business experience, your on-the-ground, hands-on business experience. I did multinational deals and contracts for governments and I was on Microsoft's Security Advisory Board, so I can work with the multinationals. And I think those skills are going to be needed in Ottawa now because people are really upset about the lack of transparency and accountability.
You're going to have the NDP gunning hard for this, as you probably know. They've got, looks like they've got some talented people running for them. You've got Olivia Chow, she's right next door to Toronto Centre. You have Matthew Kelway in the Beaches. The NDP are really gunning for this. What do you say to a voter who, if you're going to be the candidate, I'm not really sure who to vote for? The NDP, they look like they could be government, and you guys are still the third party.
Well, you know, one of the things that I appreciate having my business background is that we need strong corporate businesses to drive our economy. You know, we can't afford the social programs that the NDP are talking about without having a very strong business environment. So I think I can talk to both sides of the thing. I've worked in the community. I've done a lot of work in the community with education and kids and stuff. But I know the business, you know, and the Royal Bank is one of the really good models of giving back to society. But you need a strong, profitable economy, and that's what drives, you know, the ability for us to do that. And I don't know that the NDP really appreciate that.
Diana Burke, good luck on September the 15th. I hope to be down there myself to watch all the excitement. And thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me, David.